And when you talk about the skills that I have, communication, facilitation, conflict management, data, analytics, Excel, and SAP, process mapping, having cross-functional meetings, developing the program, doing the testing, creating the guides, and training everybody.
What kind of salary they can expect in project management?
But I'm going to talk to you guys about LinkedIn, and this is something that gets me really excited.
Yeah.
So,
hello everyone, welcome to our today's podcast. I'm personally super excited to have our guest speaker, Nikki Martin. Nikki has over 15 years of Canadian experience working in the retail industry and also e-commerce as well as project management. Today we are going to dive deep in about her experience and her industry knowledge as well as the wisdom she's going to share to our audience. Today you guys are going to learn deeper knowledge about what is project management, how you can develop your skills, and also how you can excel in project management industry and what it takes to enter the project management industry. Without further ado, I would like to invite our guest speaker, Nikki. Nikki, thank you very much for agreeing to be in this particular podcast. I'm pretty sure that our audience are going to love this particular podcast and they're going to get benefited through this. Nikki, before we get going, how about you quickly introduce yourself so that way our audience know who you are.
my name is Nikki Martin, and I currently work at Sobeys under Voila as the e-commerce onboarding manager. I've been at Sobeys now for the past 4 years, and I've been super excited to be onboarding with the e-commerce environment. And prior to that, I've been in retailing for 15 years, always working at grocery retailing stores. And I fell into project management. I absolutely love people, processes, and I'm doing what I love to do now. And I'm just so pleased to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, Nikki. Thank you very much. And Nikki, you mentioned that you fell into project management by accident.
Yes.
And maybe you want to share what was your initial stages of the journey at Loblaws? What kind of roles you got into? What kind of skill set you had to carry to even enter Loblaws, and how did you kind of climb up from there on?
Okay, so a good couple questions there. So some of the roles that I flew into, I started in supply chain and replenishment. So that was giving me a good basis of understanding of what it takes to bring a product into the stores. Then I started into category, and I learned data, and again, working with vendors and what it took to bring that product on the shelf. And when you talk about the skills that I have, communication, facilitation, conflict management, data, analytics, Excel, and SAP, there's so many skills that led me to the roles that I actually had. And I mentioned, as I told all of you, that I fell into project management.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to try and date myself carefully. 10 to 15 years ago, we were rolling out SAP at Loblaws.
Okay, makes sense. Okay.
And I was volunteered or voluntold to take on the project.
Okay.
How do we clean up our data? How do we define the hierarchies? And someone had to take that project on, and it became me.
So that was an accident where you started in the supply chain industry. You learned a lot of basic skills. You also learned about how the business works. And there was an opportunity of implementing a new ERP system into the business, and then you volunteered, and then things worked out for you.
Yeah, I volunteered, but I think more importantly, I had a really positive mindset. When SAP first came in, people were nervous and fearful, but I chose to make the decision of, I'm going to take this project on, I'm going to be brilliant at it, and I'm not going to let the negativity sway me. So that is what really kind of geared me towards being amazing at SAP, determined to learn it. And I ended up being that person that people came to when they needed help with SAP.
Yeah, absolutely. Two things I picked up from this answer. The one thing is change is always hard, but change is necessary.
Yes.
Because the new system comes into the picture, everybody freaks out because they have to do things in a newer way than what they know. And there are chances of doing mistakes and whatnot. But whoever adapts faster, they're going to get the results what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of new graduates and immigrants have this tendency to chase titles. You know what? I studied XYZ program, so if I have to work in a job, I will only work in XYZ job. I'm not going to be open-minded, etc., etc. And here you have a prime example of Nikki, where she did not have any traditional education about project management, but she started working in the supply chain industry. She learned a lot about the company and then eventually moved into project management. And now you're a successful project manager at Ola.
I am. And let me be fair, I actually don't have a PMP, but again, I fell into this. And one thing I want to just work off of something that you said, I didn't chase the title. I chased the duties and activities I was passionate about and what I like to do. And then these opportunities came, and it's up to you as the individual to raise your hand and say, I want to take that on. And that may come with a little more time, slightly longer weekend or longer weekdays, and putting in a little extra time. But what I got from it was knowing I love people, I love projects, I love processes, and that determined the course of my career.
Yeah, absolutely. Spot on. Thank you very much for that. So, moving on to the little bit more meat and the potato of the, the podcast, what we are trying to cover here. I actually got exposed to the word project or a project management when I started studying in Seneca College. Obviously, I was a new graduate. I was going through a lot of projects and whatnot, and we had a subject called project management, and it was very tough. By the way, we had a very tough professor, and it was not an easy deal to kind of work on that particular project. But we had a feeling that project management is all about IT. Like if you're a project manager, you're working in IT, right? Or maybe you're working in petroleum and gas industry, or you're working as a construction project manager. But you are a project manager in a retail industry, right? Like a Walmart or Sobeys and Loblaws. These are project management and whatnot. So I want to burst that myth today with this podcast that project management is not just tied up to IT or construction. Every business has some sort of project management opportunities and so on and so forth. So for our audience, how about you kind of briefly explain what is actually a project? What is considered as a project? What are all the things which comes in a project?
Okay, so what is actually a project? This is just a loose definition, but this is my definition of what a project is. A project is a group of people who are coming together and you have a goal, an aim, an outcome, something that you are trying to accomplish, and that requires project planning. And that's what a project is. So it's not just being in IT or construction. This is, we have a new program we have to develop, and this is the company we're going to work with. Let's start with process mapping, having cross-functional meetings, developing the program, doing the testing, creating the guides, and training everybody. That's just one example of what we do, but it's more than that. It's process mapping, it's looking at the roadmap, at the technology that's coming through. Our customers are giving us feedback, and on the fly, we're trying to solution that. And it's more than this. I want to tell you that it's not just formal project management in a business. Folks, think about it. You have to plan a wedding. You have to plan a trip. The company has an off-site meeting, and this needs to be planned. That is all project management. And every organization needs this.
And what kind of projects do you kind of maybe apart from the IT, maybe if you want to walk us through what kind of projects you worked in your 15 years of career in the retail industry?
Oh my gosh, so many projects. So let's talk a little bit about Canadian Tire. So some of the projects that I did in Canadian Tire was stores were undergoing renovations. Whether they were a brand new store opening or they were expanding, that had to be managed. At any given time, there were 15 to 20 stores. And you're managing it, having meetings, doing facilitations and calls, and trying to figure out, are we going to be on time for the grand opening? So that's one experience at Canadian Tire. But gosh, there's so much I did at Voila. Let's talk about Voila. My time at Voila allowed me to do this program called SPAL. It's called Sobeys Portal for Article Listing, and it's a fancy word for a cloud-based B2B program.
Oh wow, okay.
And it allows vendors to list articles through Sobeys.
Fair enough. So for the interest of audience, just to kind of expand what Nikki mentioned, anything and everything which comes in a place where you have to start from the ground and until you take it to live, that's a project.
Yes, right? It's anything.
Anything. Opening a store, bringing up new items into your assortment, planning a trip for your boss, that's a project too, right? Everything is a project. And first time when I got exposed to project in my career is when I started working as a supply chain analyst. We had a lot of projects to work on. A project is not a daily task where you execute it. It's not like a daily task, but you have an opportunity to kind of work on a process improvement, or maybe onboard a lot of new vendors into the system. Or maybe if you're in a finance industry, you're working on a project to bring in more capital into the system. So anything and everything which is not a daily execution task comes under project management, if I'm not wrong.
No, that's absolutely correct. And you always have to think about the different industries that are requiring it. It's not just IT, it's not construction. Every bank, pharmaceutical company, manufacturing, retailer, food company, they all have a new something that has to be implemented and executed. Or my favorite, pie in the sky ideas. That's when we talk about pie in the sky. Wouldn't it be great if? Yeah, that becomes a project. Couldn't we improve this? And that becomes a project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So process improvement comes under project management as well.
Yes. And it's all those things. And again, it's all ideas that people have where we think, can we make something better?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point there. Nikki, thank you very much. That was a very brief answer. My whole goal of this particular podcast is very simple, because right now we have a lot of business graduates are graduating, or new immigrants are coming into the industry. And every time a business graduate graduates, they're like, you know what, I have accounting, I have finance, I have HR, I have supply chain. And a lot of people don't think about project management, because project management seems like an out of the picture, because they think it requires a lot of skills, intensive experience, etc., etc. So now, like, you know, if you have to talk about the future of project management, where some of the graduates can consider, you know what, yes, I'm an accounting guy, yes, I'm a finance guy, maybe I can also look into project management. So what is future of project management? Next 5 to 10 years, where do you think the project management industry is going to be?
I think it's going to be fantastic. So looking in the next 5 to 10 years, let's talk about two things. Let's talk about technology, which everyone can get behind, and let's talk about soft skills. So when we talk about technology, where we are today is fantastic. We have so many organizations who are trying to give us data, the right kind of data. And we always talk about the one source of truth. And that's what we're coming with data. Other aspects are data analytics. More and more of these companies are coming to us saying, we can give you better data analytics. There's also something else that's happening that anyone can get involved in, and it doesn't have to be about project management. Collaboration tools. There are so many organizations out there that are trying to allow us to collaborate from coast to coast. And I think that that's where the future of the technology is going to be with project management. Now, I don't know much about AI, but I can't wait to see where AI is going to take us. But between the collaboration tools and data analytics, I think it's looking really good.
And do you think more and more jobs are going to be created in the project management industry?
I definitely think so. I think there's so much that's coming down the pipeline. It's hard for companies on their own to manage it. They may even have a project management team, but they may be overwhelmed. And sometimes they push that task onto another manager, another department. And lo and behold, sometimes that project can fall onto me. And then the other aspect I want to talk about when we talk about trends, no matter what the trend is and no matter what happens in technology, there's something that all PMs are going to need. You need to have soft skills, people skills. You need to know how to communicate, how to facilitate conversations, conflict resolution, because not everyone gets along.
Yeah, conflict resolution. Yeah, I agree with it. Yeah.
And definitely what everyone's going to need is a good understanding of what organizations are like. How do departments interact? How does the department flow, and what are their hierarchies? These are good things to know.
Makes sense. So, like, you know, what I understood from your answer is a lot of companies are transitioning from traditional way of doing the business to a modern way of doing the business.
Yes.
And when they're transitioning their softwares, their data, their data warehouse management in terms of cloud, so they need professionals who can professionally transition these things without interrupting the business.
Yes.
Right? To summarize whatever you said, right? Without interrupting these things. So that's where the opportunity for project managers are going to get created, because every traditional business is moving towards technology.
Yes. We're utilizing it more and more, and the fact is they're going to need more people who are interested in this. And so I think it's a really great time to get involved in project management. And even if you weren't sure, just be that employee that says, I want to take a chance and do this project. And I think that's so wonderful, because it gets the right kind of attention on you, and it forces you to grow. And I'm going to look directly into the camera and say it. You're going to have some tough times. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's in that moment that you're going to grow and find out what you're made of and what you really like and don't like about your career.
No, absolutely. That's a good point. And this particular information is not just for the international students and new immigrants. This can be for a person who's working as an analyst for 2 years or 3 years.
Yes.
And maybe you think that, you know, there is not enough of growth within your company. Or maybe you're thinking that, you know, the role is very monotonous. You don't want to just come and repeat the tasks. And this is where you kind of raise that hand, as Nikki mentioned, saying that, you know what, I see a trend, I see a problem, I see an opportunity to do a process improvement, maybe we can hit it up, and take that opportunity and convert your role by yourself as an analyst or an maybe specialist to more of a process improvement project management guy. So my next question follows up on the same thing, Nikki. So now let's say, for example, I want to get into project management.
Yes.
Right? Maybe I have 2 years of experience. some random experience, some analyst or an administrator, etc., etc. I know how to work with data. I know how to work on Excel, little bit of analytics and whatnot. So where do you think I should start off with? Should I go and get some certifications, or should I pick up some projects within the company and prove my company that I'm worth it, and then gain some, because your story is all about that, right? Like
yes.
You kind of picked up the projects, small projects, and then you become a project manager. So where do you think we should start off with?
Okay, I like the latter of what you were saying.
Yeah.
I think what you should really start with is raise your hand, try and take on a project, understand what's coming down from the company. When you get a feel for it, when you understand what you like and you don't like, I'm a personal fan of, then I want to go to school. Then I want to see, do I like the coursework? Does it align with what I want to do? And I was so lucky because there were times that the projects came down to me and I had to deal with them. But I was so grateful. My organization paid for me to do classes, workshops, seminars. I got to go to them. And then it furthered me, letting me know I love what I do. This is exciting, and let me keep doing it. So I'm more of a learn on the job and then go get the classes, certification, and additional learnings. Because I don't want to deter anybody from going to go do your PMP, but be sure it's what you want to do. Be sure you, in fact, enjoy doing the work.
Yeah, you're spot on, because right now the trend going on like this, you go and ask anyone, you know what, hey, I'm looking for a job, can you please help me out? They tell two things, network and certifications.
Yes.
Right, network and certifications, because they have to say something and they'll tell you that. But because somebody suggested you and you go and get your certification, it costs you money.
Yes.
Minimum of $3,000-$4,000, because I'm not just talking about PNP, any sort of professional certification is costing you $3,000-$4,000 right now. And after all, there's no guarantee that you're going to get a job after graduating from that certificate. And maybe after spending 6 months of doing a certificate, then you realize, you know what, this is not what I was looking for. So that actually makes sense to get a job, get some sort of job, and then start working towards it. Understand what it takes to grow up in there. And then if you feel comfortable doing what you're doing, it is good to enhance your skills through certifications. Right?
Yes.
That's what you mean to say?
That's exactly what I mean to say. I want you all to make sure that you know that you like it. Don't guess, no. Take the experience. And if you can't get the experience at work, my friends, then go organize something at a school. Do some charitable work. Get out there into the community and see if you enjoy rallying people, organizing, and getting everyone behind a goal. And see how that feels before you go dump money into it and you're not sure. And that's one thing. I'm not sitting here worried that I made the wrong choice. I know that every role that I took drove me to where I am today. And this passion you see, this excitement and energy, it comes because I love what I do and I love the people I work with.
Yeah, it's a compound effect, right? Nothing comes easily. Like, it builds up over a period of time. Experiences, tools, techniques, relationships. And you never know, every single work you put in, it's actually taking you to the next destination, which is meant for you.
Yes, and I think what's important when we keep moving up and thinking about where we want to be, it's always important to stop and pause and think about, reflect. What is it that I liked? What didn't I like? Where do I want to go? Where do I see myself in 5 years? That picture is going to constantly change. And I'll tell you what we did learn. We learned that what we thought was true changes the moment there's a pandemic. Oh my goodness,
I know, right?
The world shut down. So things are constantly changing, and you always have to check in and reevaluate with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. I think that's important in life in general, but especially when it comes to your career. And do I want to put the time and money in school? Am I going to get what I need out of it? Do I have a path forward?
Yeah.
And companies who are interested in me.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next question. This is a very typical question where people tend to ask us, what certifications? Where can I get started? Because there is an talk outside where the more certifications you have, more skilled you are, etc., etc. And the funny part is, even the job description says certifications good to have, not must have. Most of the time it's not must have, but people misread it. The moment they see certification, they're like, oh, I'll stop my job search, let me go get my certification. How long will you keep studying, right? Maybe assuming our audience are new graduates, or maybe business graduates with 1 or 2 years of experience, or IT graduates with 1 or 2 years of experience, or maybe a business analyst working in IT and is like, maybe I want to get into project management. So what kind of certifications are available in Canada or maybe US, a combination of both of them, which will allow them to make this transition?
Okay, so when it comes to PMP and project management, of course there are schools who are offering this course. Many of you are already in them. We know that there are programs that you can take. But I have to tell all of you, I'm actually not a PMP. I happen to be a person who's experienced, who knows what she loves to do, and I've taken courses. So some of the courses I've taken that are not necessarily project management are leadership. I took leadership courses from the University of Toronto.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I have to tell you great things about this program. Not only did it overlap with project management, but it also overlapped with leadership. And so I learned mediation, conflict resolution, communication, facilitation, and organizational behavior. And I thought it was like killing two birds with one stone.
Makes sense.
And I did a lot of courses. Whenever my company had a workshop, I took advantage of that. If there's Toastmasters, I'll go and do that. And this is a perfect example. I'm taking the opportunity to speak with you and everybody out here. This is how you learn and you grow and you take advantage of opportunities and do classes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. To sum it up, like, in terms of the certifications or education, there are multiple ways. One thing is you either go to a college and take up a one-year program. And the second way is take a third-party certification like PNP and whatnot. And talking about the college programs, there are multiple colleges. You have Durham College, you have Seneca, Centennial, Humber, George Brown. All these good colleges provide one-year project management programs. And in that, they don't kind of get into industry specific. That doesn't mean that it's an IT project management or etc., but it's a general project management. But they teach you all the principles of project management where you can apply in any industry.
Yes.
Right? And that's a one-year program. Again, time commitment, money commitment. But if you take a PNP, it's much easier. You're kind of doing it on your own pace, lesser money, lesser time commitment and whatnot. But you choose what is best for you. As Nikki mentioned, it's always good to get a job and learn from there, and then you build from there is the best strategy rather than doing multiple certifications.
Yeah, because what's really important for everyone to know is when you're interviewing and that hiring manager is asking you questions, they know you know what you're doing, but they have to know, have you dealt with a team that's challenging? Have you had moments where projects failed? Where were you successful and why? That's what they're trying to get to. So I know everyone is brilliant and smart, but what I want to see is what you're going to bring to the organization. What qualities and skills are you going to bring that are going to make us better and achieve our goals on time?
Awesome, Nikki. The way we are actually heading towards it's so good. We kill the one bird, which is the certifications. So let's talk about networking. Whenever we talk about networking, people say, get networking, do networking, but nobody tells us how we can do the networking. There's no action plan, etc. So how about you kind of share your thoughts about how we can network with professionals and gain some traction there?
There's a lot of ways to network, but I'm going to talk to you guys about LinkedIn. And this is something that gets me really excited. So everyone listen up to me. LinkedIn is an incredible tool. It's not just, can you get me a job? LinkedIn is a platform where professionals can discuss insights, talk about business, understand company culture, look at trends. So I want you to start making friends, because networking is just a way of saying, let's make professional friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a matter of you going on LinkedIn, using the search functions. And so as an example, if you're looking for a project manager in Sobeys, type in project manager, use the filter and look for Sobeys and see what names pop up, because we're out there on LinkedIn. And when people ask, but how do I do it? Please, everyone, don't just say connect. I want everyone to write a message. Be meaningful.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the worst 11 words you're ever going to hear. I'd like to add you to my network. No, don't say that. I want everyone to be thoughtful about why you want to connect with somebody, what interested you. So go on that person's network. Find out, did they attend a conference that you liked? What are their hobbies? Are they at a company or in an industry you want to be in? And compel them to join your network and to have conversations. But when we ask about other places that we can go and get data, guys, there are career fairs. All you have to do is Google career fairs in your town and you'll see it. I also want to encourage everybody, get out there in the community. I want you to go to charity events. I want you to try and give your time, go to schools, if you have children who happen to be in sports or classes, go to those events and network and let people know what you're about and what you're interested in doing. And again, there are amazing websites. Like recently I just typed in networking events in Toronto and I got Eventbrite.
Yeah, Eventbrite,
Eventbrite came up with so many things that you have to say yes to. It's easy to say no, but you got to say yes. And I think the most important thing to share with everyone about networking, You are going to network. Some people will connect with you, some people won't.
Yeah.
Don't focus on the ones who don't connect with you. Focus on the one that says yes and keep trying.
Yeah, it's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game, and it's finding the right language we use to say, I'd like to add you to my network, or you fascinate me. And finding a way to say that to someone thoughtfully so they'll say yes.
Yeah, give before you get, right? So you have to give some sort of sense of care or respect to the people whom you're trying to connect before you get something out of it.
Yes.
And this is a very a traditional way of connecting, and maybe a non-traditional way of connecting as well. Like, when you're in downtown, let's say you're a professional who's suited up and walking, there's nothing wrong in talking to them and asking what do they do, how did they get their job, and they might open up an opportunity for you. They might open up a networking event for you. So having that face-to-face conversations, talking to random people in downtown Toronto, asking them, hey, I know that you're after talking to them, then you understand that you're there in a certain industry. You can ask them, is there any networking events happening in and around? You know that? I would like to join. So that might kind of lead you into networking events as well.
For sure. And I think what's also important too is to leverage your LinkedIn. It's not just who I found on LinkedIn. Maybe you have a partner, a spouse, a friends who work in companies. That's when you say, hey, I'd like you to introduce me to someone. Yeah. Would they be willing to chat? Yeah. And sometimes your friend, spouse, partner, or someone has to facilitate that introduction, but do it. This is how we make friends, and this is how we meet people.
Awesome, Nikki. The things what you shared is wealth of knowledge. I'm pretty sure that our audience are gonna really enjoy it, because this information is not available anywhere, right? You're talking to an industry leader who have 15 years of experience working with #1 companies in retail, knows ins and outs of the industry and what it takes to grow in such heights and whatnot, right? So the juicy part comes here. We all want to develop our skills, we all want to get our titles, but if it doesn't pay you right, what is the point of doing it? Right? So maybe you want to share your thoughts about what are some salary ranges, right? Okay. Let's talk about anybody between 0 to 3 years of work experience. What kind of salary they can expect in project management?
Okay, and that's fair. And I'll just tell you from my experience in retailing. So if you're new into this role, you're not necessarily going to jump straight into being a project manager. You may have to take an analyst role, a coordinator role, administrator role in project management. And be prepared. You may be making 40 to 65 when you're first starting out. I happen to work for large organizations, and I love large organizations. When you become a project manager, you can expect monies within the $60 all the way up to the $120,000 range. I don't want you to chase the money, because what you have to understand is it's based on your experience, what you have to offer, how many projects you've managed, and you have to think about what is the project they want you to manage, and have you had experience executing it?
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I want you to get into the field because you're excited by project management, not necessarily to chase the money. I promise you, to everyone out there, the money will come, but do it because you love it, do it because it's your passion.
Fair enough. So based on the relevancy of the project and the experience,
yes,
the more you get paid. Let's say if I'm a Canadian Tire manager and I'm looking for somebody who can open up new stores, and if you have opened up new stores for Home Depot,
yes,
maybe you are the closest match, and I'm ready to pay you more because I know that you're going to tackle most of the work, and I don't have to rely on you, and you get paid more than another candidate who don't have that kind of experience.
Right. So it is based on experience, but also too, I think people have to understand companies have budgets. Companies only have so much headcount and only so much labor.
Sure.
So that also plays a role in the salary. But again, I just want you to chase the project,
sure,
the company, the mission statement, whatever it is that excites you to work for them. And for me, it's food.
Yeah.
I love food, and that's why you'll see me at Sobeys.
Absolutely, Nikki. And I'm surprised that we're almost at the end of the podcast, and I wish we can continue to do so, but maybe we'll come up with a new episode for sure. So Nikki, how about you throw some tips and tricks so that way our audience can successfully build their career in project management and stabilize their life in Canada?
Okay, tips and tricks and some easy things all of you can do. Number one, create a value proposition. What does that mean? Creating a value proposition is knowing who you are, what you offer, and why a company is going to hire you. I want you to think of it as an elevator pitch. You're in the elevator with the HR hiring manager. What are you going to tell them about yourself? Develop that. Let's not just go into this willy-nilly saying, oh, I want to be a project manager. What industries, what companies? You need to have 5 to 10 companies that you want to work for. And you better get on LinkedIn and get that HR acquisition and talent acquisition on.
Sure.
start networking with people in the company and start reading the news and following. It's all about networking, my friends. Network, network, network in order to get those jobs. And other things, for those of you who are working and you do have a job right now, put your hand up, ask for more responsibilities, try and take on another project. You have to market yourself. You can't just say, I want to be a project manager and one day someone's going to give me a job. You have to tell people, you have to show people. You've got to make a little effort and let everyone see what you're about. That is what's going to make you stand out, and that's what's going to give you the opportunities. And that way you'll know, do I really like it or do I not like it? And then that'll just keep pushing you in the right direction of where you need to be.
Love it, Nikki. What do you bring to the table? It's all about it. Like, what kind of skills, what kind of experience, what kind of projects. How do you actually help the organization to make money, period, right? Nikki, my heart is full. I'm pretty sure that our audience are going to love listening to this, listening and watching to this podcast. Wealth of knowledge, wealth of wisdom. I'm pretty sure that this information is going to really, really help our audience to build their career, settle down in Canada, and make some good money as well.
Yes.
And maybe one of the person who's watching the podcast, he's going to be here next time as in podcast guest. And they're going to share their thoughts so other people can benefit as well. It's all about pay it forward, right? You learn and then you share it to more people. With that, we are concluding this particular podcast. Guys, thank you very much for watching the full video. Please subscribe to our channel, Fellow International Student, and feel free to follow Nikki Martin on LinkedIn. I'm going to put her LinkedIn link on the video as well. And feel free to reach out and maybe ask her for a coffee chat, and we'll see if she can accommodate you guys. With that, we are done. Signing off.
Thank you.